Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great weekend. We're going to do some college basketball review and some football review. Have FCS playoffs, Army-Navy game, we had a bowl game. We'll be going over all that stuff. Once again, I was going to do a preview show Thursday, Friday about stuff going on this weekend. Life got in the way for a second week in a row. Better not do it 3 weeks in a row. I'm going to do a preview show Thursday or Friday. Life better not get in the way, but it's the holiday season, so all kinds of things happen. But anyway, we got a lot of news items to get to. Some of them were from last week that I was going to go over last Thursday or Friday. Still, some of this is old news, but we're going to go over it anyway. So before we start, hit that subscribe button down there so you don't miss anything, and let's get started. CFP Executive Director Rich Clark says he was infuriated that it was leaked that SMU was in, and Bama was out before ESPN revealed it on their selection show. Brett McMurphy of Action Network was the one that tweeted about SMU being in. Yeah, I could see where he'd get upset about that. But here's the thing: these selection shows, the football one just dragged. I mean, I think ESPN is wise to the fact as soon as we find out who's in, we're done. We got stuff to do. We got stuff to do around the house, stuff to do, run errands or whatever. So I think that's why they dragged it out. I believe it was like 35 or 40 minutes before they finally revealed the first bracket in the playoff. But anyway, Rich Clark was pretty upset about it. Florida State quarterback Luke Carmanack, transfer portal. Michigan expected to hire North Carolina's Chip Lindray as its new offensive coordinator. Has Michigan seen North Carolina play this past season? Did they watch any of their games? Because I was thinking, okay, well, if that's who you want, that's who you want. I don't know about that one, but we'll see how it works. Meanwhile, Michigan defensive lineman Mason Graham, he is declared for the NFL draft. The big news, besides the Heisman Trophy, North Carolina hires Bill Belichick. That's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. We talked about some of the guys on the radio that I listened to were talking about they just can't see Bill Belichick going into living rooms all around the country trying to recruit kids. But who knows? I'm very interested to see how this works out. I'm going to keep an eye on North Carolina, watching some of their games next year to see how this works. West Virginia, they hired back their old coach, Rich Rodriguez, had a lot of success there at West Virginia. Took off from Michigan, didn't do so hot, but he's back. West Virginia hoping to recap some of that magic from several years ago. Dan Mullen, he's back in coaching. He's leaving ESPN. He's going to be the new coach at UNLV. Congratulations to him. Travis Hunter won the Heisman Trophy, beat out Dylan Gabriel, Ashton Jeanty, Cam Ward. Ashton Jeanty actually made a comment on, I don't know if it was on Twitter or if they were interviewing him, but saying he thought he was going to run away with it, which I thought he was too. But remember what happened in 97? We thought Peyton Manning was going to run away with it. Charles Woodson won. Kind of weird, huh? Arizona wide receiver Tatori McMillan, he declares for the NFL draft. Virginia Tech, they fired their DC, Chris Marv. Missouri defensive end, William, let me see if I can say his name right, Nwaneri. He transfers to Nebraska. He's going to go play for the Cornhuskers. NCAA is talking about expanding the basketball tournament maybe to 72 or 76 teams. Nothing is quite set in stone yet, but they're just discussing that. In 2026, UC Davis will join the Mountain West Conference in several sports, including basketball. Football will stay in the Big Sky Conference in the FCS conference, though. Excuse me. 85-year-old Dick Vitale, cancer-free once again. Congratulations to him. Former USC quarterback Miller Moss, he's going to Louisville. Purdue safety Dylan Theinman, he's transferring to Oregon. Tulane quarterback Darian Mensah, he transfers to Duke. Alabama cornerback Devontae Smith, he enters the transfer portal. This story here is this just This is why they got to do something about this transfer portal and all this. Marshall goes to Lafayette, beats down Lafayette Raging Cajuns in their own stadium, wins the Sun Belt Conference title. But they have to withdraw from the Independence Bowl because so many players from Marshall have entered the transfer portal. Your conference champions, you go into the Independence Bowl and play Army, who's a good team. They didn't do so good yesterday. And then you just all decide you're going to leave. Just leave your school high and dry. So Marshall, they can't play. They don't have enough players to play in the bowl. 5-7 La Tech is going to take their place and play Army in the Independence Bowl. Talk about some serious BS. I mean, that if I'm a Marshall fan, I am pissed. That is just BS, man. They need to really do something with this transfer portal. They need to get a handle on it. Maybe make just one date in the year where people can leave. I mean, that's just major BS in my opinion. Some other BS here. Remember back in 2006, that Duke lacrosse team scandal? That girl, what was her name? Crystal Mangum accused several players of raping her at a party. There was always speculation that she was lying. Well, finally now she admits, almost 20 years later, yeah, I lied about all that. By the way, she's in prison for murder, so... But you tarnished a lot of innocent people's character and reputations for whatever, I don't know. And I saw the documentary on ESPN, I think it was 30 for 30. Who was it? Rolling Stone magazine, I think? Or maybe another magazine, but I think it was Rolling Stone did an article on it. They just grabbed the story and ran. They didn't even look at any... they just believed her. Everything she said didn't matter anything else. So I know they got in a lot of hot water over that. All right, so going back yesterday, Navy, man, they just beat down Army 31-13. Blake Harbaugh for Navy, 107 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for 204 and 2 touchdowns. Bryson Daly for Army, which I should have thought he should have been in the running for the Heisman. Should have been in New York for the Heisman Trophy. Man, he could not get it going. Navy defense just shut him down. Held Army to 178 total yards and 1 for 1 in the red zone. Give it to Navy. They came out to play. They won that game. Won the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. All right, so we also had yesterday FCS quarterfinals. Actually, starting on Friday, Montana State beat Idaho 52-19. Tommy Mallet for the Bobcats, 174 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, threw an interception, but also ran for a touchdown. Adam Jones, 95 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns in that game. Idaho's Jake Lane, 239 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw a pick also. Jordan Dwyer, 189 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Montana State defense, 3 sacks. They held Idaho to 2 for 10 on third down, 2 for 3 in the red zone. Forced 2 turnovers. Montana State was 11 for 15 on third down, 7 for 7 in the red zone. I actually didn't see that game because I was watching a high school game. But one I watched yesterday because Incarnate Word, they're from up the road in San Antonio, not far from here, a couple hours. Really thought they would do better than they did. But, man, South Dakota State, what a team. 2-time national champions, going for a three-peat this year. Incarnate Word just could never get anything going. South Dakota State just dominated them in the first half, 31-0 at halftime. They did make a little bit of a comeback in the second half, played a lot better, scored a couple touchdowns, but it was just too late. Mark Gronowski, quarterback for the Jackrabbits, 174 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. 2 of those touchdowns to Griffin Weil, who had 67 receiving yards. Yes, those 2 catches he made, they were just beautiful catches in the end zone. Gronowski, I can never say his name right, also ran for 2 touchdowns. So he passed in, threw for touchdowns. Zach Calzada, great quarterback for Incarnate Word, 258 passing yards, touchdown, interception, ran for 23 yards and a touchdown. Roy Alexander, he caught the touchdown pass. He had 92 receiving yards. South Dakota State defense, 3 sacks, 2 turnovers, held Incarnate Word to 4 for 15 on third down, 1 for 6 on fourth down, 2 for 4 in the red zone. Jackrabbits were 6 for 6 in the red zone yesterday. South Dakota, man, what is football? Well, football state, huh? South Dakota Coyotes beat UC Davis 35-21. Aiden Bauman for South Dakota, 253 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 2 of those touchdowns were to J.J. Goldberg. Travis Thies, 86 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. UC Davis is Miles Hastings, 345 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Man, that is, I mean, they were in the game 35-21. They were down by, 2 touchdowns? But you'd think after 5 interceptions, the final score would be like 35-10 or something. But no, they held in there after all that. Trent Tompkins, 102 receiving yards and a touchdown. South Dakota defense, 2 sacks, 6 turnovers. UC Davis had better numbers than most of the post-game categories, but South Dakota pulled it out. And then the last one, North Dakota State beat Mercer 31-7. I think it's safe to say the road to the FCS championship goes to the northern part of the country. The Dakotas, Montanas, Idaho. They just play some damn good football up there. Anyway, they beat Mercer 31-7. Bison's Cam Miller, 259 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Also ran for a touchdown. Both TDs he threw were to Bryce Lance, who had 73 receiving yards. Mercer's Neubauer, he threw a touchdown pass to Parsons in the first quarter, and that was it. Bison defense, 5 sacks. They held Mercer to 8 first downs, 1 for 11 on third down. Held up to 195 total yards. So next Saturday, your FCS semifinals. 12-2 South Dakota State versus 12-2 North Dakota State. They already played earlier in the year. North Dakota State won that game. That will be 11 a.m. on ABC. And then 14-0 Montana State versus 11-2 South Dakota, 2:30 on ABC. And I'm going to go on my soapbox again. If the NCAA and the CFP were smart, they'd get together and say, hey, let's have a championship Saturday. We'll show the FCS championship game in the afternoon or late afternoon, and then the FBS CFP championship game at night, all on Saturday. People could party. They could have barbecue all day long at their house, adult beverages with friends, watching 2 championship games. And then the next day, Sunday, you got to recover because you don't have to work. Instead of this Monday night BS for the CFP championship game where, some people, hey, I know, EMS. Sometimes I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, all right? Sometimes you just can't stay up late to watch the whole game because you got to get to bed. If they do this thing on Saturday night, pull their head out of their ass, and quit being stupid, that could be a hell of a championship Saturday, huh? FCS championship, then FBS. I mean, come on. Quit being stupid. We have the Celebration Bowl. 12-2 Jackson State beat 9-3 South Carolina State, 28-7. And then the Salute to Veterans Bowl. South Alabama beat Western Michigan, 30-23. All right, so let's go over a few some things that happened in basketball. Go back to Thursday. Winthrop was 9-3. They beat Bob Jones. Never heard of Bob Jones College. Anyway, they beat them 103-55. Number 3, Iowa State. They moved to 8-1, beat Iowa, who was 7-3, 89-80. Iowa State's Curtis Jones, 23 points, 6 rebounds off the bench. Joshua Jefferson, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Both of them were pretty even in the post-game categories. Iowa State did have more rebounds and more points off of turnovers in that one. Texas, they moved to 8-2, beat New Mexico State 91-67. Texas, 25 points off of turnovers in that game. Arkansas State moved to 8-3. They beat UT Arlington 83-79. Drake moved to 9-0. They beat St. Ambrose 90-35. Drake led this game by 32 points at the half. Friday, some interesting games. North Dakota State moved to 9-4. They beat Wisconsin Stout 91-62. That is the Bison's 6th straight win on the court. George Washington 9-2. They beat Army 75-60. Trey Moss for George Washington, 19 points, hit 4 3-pointers in that game. La Tech 9-2. La Tech's playing some pretty good ball this year so far. They beat Georgia Southern 77-63. Caden Cooper for La Tech, 25 points, 8 rebounds. Daniel Bacho, 22 points, 8 rebounds. 7-2 Nebraska beat 8-3 Indiana, 85-68. Nebraska went on a 21-4 run. Bryce Williams scored 11 of his 30 points in that 21-4 run. He was also 10 for 15 from the free throw line, so he had a good night at the line. Colorado moved to 8-2, beat South Dakota State 81-70. CU is undefeated at home. St. Thomas, Minnesota, they're 8-4, beat Western Michigan 77-71. St. Thomas, Minnesota's Ben No, 22 points off the bench. Number 16, Clemson, 9-2 after they lost to 8-2 Memphis 87-82 in overtime. Memphis's Tyrese Hunter, 23 points. He had a three-pointer with just 1 minute left, under a minute left, I should say, in overtime in that game. Memphis, 52% from the field. Clemson was 45%. Number 17, Texas A&M, 9-2. They beat number 11, 8-3 Purdue, 70-66. They're pretty even in all the categories, but Purdue did have more fouls when it was all said and done. Missouri's 9-1, beat Western Illinois 88-61. Trent Pierce from Mizzou, 24 points off the bench. Furman 10-1, they beat South Carolina State 68-64. South Dakota's 9-4, beat Western Illinois 89-66. Penn State, they are 9-2, beat Coppin State 99-51. Coppin State 0-12. They have not won a game this year. Excuse me. Number 2, Auburn, 9-1. They beat 6-4 Ohio State, 91-53. Auburn's Johnny Brome, 21 points, 20 rebounds. Ohio State, 35% shooting from the field. 8-2 DePaul beat 8-2 Wichita State, 91-72. DePaul hit 17 three-pointers in this game. Rivera, he made 5 of them. Number 22, Cincinnati, 8-1. They beat 8-3 Xavier, 68-65. Both those teams shot under 38% in this game. South Carolina, 7-3, beat South Carolina Upstate by 20. South Carolina Upstate, they had more turnovers and more fouls in this game than South Carolina. 5-8, North Carolina Central beat 9-3 Longwood, 77-70. Western Kentucky, they're 7-3. They beat Murray State 81-76 in overtime. Central Florida is 8-2. They beat Tulsa 88-75. 4 of Central Florida's starters finished with double-digit points. High Point, they're 10-2. They beat Appalachian State 65-69. Appalachian State led that game by 9 at halftime, gave it up and lost. Georgetown, they're 8-2. They beat Syracuse. And Syracuse is 5-5. That's just crazy. Georgetown beat them 75-71. Jaden Epps for Georgetown, 27 points. He hit 4 three-pointers in that game. Number 20, Wisconsin moved to 9-3. They beat 7-4 Butler, 83-74. All 5 starters for Wisconsin in double-digit points, led by Winter, who had 20 points, 8 rebounds. Number 24, 9-1 UCLA beat 4-5 Arizona, 57-54. Both teams shot 45% from the field. UCLA, 27 points off of turnovers. 5-6 Howard beat 7-3 UNCW, 88-93. Number 10, 8-2 Kansas beat 7-4 North Carolina State, 75-60. Jayhawks Zake Mayo, 26 points. He hit 5 three-pointers. Hunter Dickinson, 21 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. KU, 57% from the field. Wolfpack only shot 37%. Number 9, 10-0 Florida beat 8-2 Arizona State, 83-66. Florida's Clayton Jr., 25 points. He hit 5 three-pointers. Richmond behind him with 16 points, 6 rebounds. Florida, 48% from the field. Arizona State was 37%. Florida did grab 20 more rebounds in this one. 9-2 SMU beat 8-2 LSU by 10. 10-0 Utah State beat 5-5 South Florida, 88-67. Utah State's Falseth, 27 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. Number 19, Ole Miss, they moved to 9-1. They beat Southern Miss 77-46. Sean Padula for the Rebels hit 6 three-pointers in that game. Arkansas 9-2. They beat Central Arkansas 82-57. Arkansas had 6 players in double-digit points. Florida State, they're 8-3. They beat Tulane 77-64. Jamar Watkins for Florida State, 29 points. 19 of those points came from free throws he was shooting. Hell of a free throw, sure. 6-5 Santa Clara beat 8-2 Bradley by 10. St. Bonaventure moved to 10-1. They beat 7-5 Providence 74-70. West Virginia, they are 8-2, beat Bethane Cookman 84-61. Siobhan Small for the Mountaineers had 27 points. Washington State 9-2, they beat Missouri State 91-78. All 5 of Washington State starters hit double-digit points. Oregon State 7-2, they beat UC Irvine 67-55. Number 5, Kentucky, they are 10-1. They beat 6-5 Louisville, 93-85. Kentucky's Lamont Butler, 33 points, 6 3-pointers in this game. Number 1, Tennessee, they are undefeated, 10-0, beat 7-3 Illinois by 2. Jordan Gainey for Tennessee, 23 points, including the game winner as time expired. I don't think it was from the field. I think it was just a layup inside the lane. Number 25, Mississippi State. They are 9-1, beat McNeese by 3. Bulldogs had 20 points off of turnovers. 9-2, Belmont beat Richmond 93-86. Georgia, they are 9-1. They beat 6-3 Grand Canyon 73-68. 9-2, Dayton beat number 6, 9-2 Marquette 71-63. Dayton was down by 13 at one point in the second half. It came back. New Mexico 8-3 beat Western New Mexico 122-70. Damn. Alien 7-3 they beat Virginia Lynchburg 114-52. Davidson is 8-2 they beat Detroit 86-51. UC Santa Barbara 7-3 they beat Green Bay 83-66. Liberty's 10-1 they beat North Carolina A&T 83-74. Liberty's Owen Aquino 28 points 10 rebounds. 7-2 Utah beat 9-3 Radford 81-63. VCU moved to 9-2. They beat Colorado State 76-68. VCU made 11 3-pointers in this game. Number 8 UConn. They moved to 8-3. They beat number 8 7-3 Gonzaga 77-71. UConn's Liam McNeely 26 points 8 rebounds. Hit 10 free throws in this game. Stewart and Reed came off the bench for UConn. Both hit double-digit points. Gonzaga's Khalif Battle 21 points, 4 rebounds. He hit 4 3-pointers. Newhart behind him had 16 points. UConn, 46% from the field. Gonzaga shot 44% from the field. All the other categories, turnovers, fouls, rebounds, they're pretty even after that is all said and done. Number 13, OU is 10-0. Beat 6-3 Oklahoma State, 80-65. Sam Goodwin for Oklahoma, 20 points, 14 rebounds. I was reading this is the first game between these two, first Bedlam game since OU took off for the SEC. Hopefully the football will get back to doing that. Number 7, 8-2 Alabama, beat 7-4 Creighton, 83-75. Mark Sears for Alabama, 27 points. 7-3 Boise State beat 9-2 St. Mary's, 67-65 in overtime. Boise State, 21 for 27 from the free throw line. Man. BYU, they're 8-2, beat Wyoming 68-49. BYU led from whistle to whistle, entire buzzer to buzzer, entire game. Nevada, 8-3, they beat Texas Southern 105-73. Xavier Dussel for Nevada, 25 points in that game. Okay, upcoming this week. I got some interesting stuff coming up during the week. Monday, no top 25 games for some reason. Maybe because it's still football season, but I guess Big Monday starts in, January or so. Anyway, but hey, 6-3 Grand Canyon plays 9-2 Louisiana Tech. It's on ESPN Plus, but if you get it, it's at 6:30. Tuesday, number 4, 8-2 Duke plays 7-3 George Mason. 6 p.m. ACC Network. Number 9, 10-0 Florida plays 6-4 North Carolina. 6 p.m. on ESPN. Number 16, 9-2 Clemson plays 7-3 South Carolina. That is at 6 p.m. on SEC Network. DePaul versus St. John's. Both of them are 8-2. That'll be 5:30 on Peacock. On Wednesday, number 18 UConn versus Xavier. Both of them are 8-3. That'll be 6 p.m. FS1. Number 15 Houston, who's 6-3 versus 6-4 Toledo. 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Number 6 Marquette versus 7-4 Butler. 8 p.m. on FS1. Number 8 Gonzaga, who's 7-3 versus 7-4 Nichols. That's 8 p.m. ESPN Plus. And then I got a pretty good one. Number 13 Oklahoma, who's 10-0 versus number 14, 8-2 Michigan, 8 p.m. on ESPN2 on Wednesday night. Football, I guess some football. Tuesday, Frisco Bowl, number 25, 10-2 Memphis versus 6-6 West Virginia, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Wednesday, the Boca Raton Bowl, 8-5 Western Kentucky versus 8-4 James Madison. That might be a pretty good one. And the LA Bowl, 6-6 Cal versus number 24, 10-3 UNLV. That'll be 8 p.m. on ESPN. Now, like I said, we're going to do a preview show this Thursday. We are going to do a preview show. I don't care what life throws us. We're going to do one. So we'll be back Thursday to preview what's coming up this weekend. A lot of basketball. Man, got a runny nose this morning. A lot of basketball this weekend. FCS quarterfinals. Playoffs. CFP. Indiana and Notre Dame are going to be Friday night. And then Saturday we got those games. So we'll go over all that. Last week before I took off the holidays, so get done with this week, and I got 2 weeks off. Hope you guys are doing the same. Well, we just got to keep our heads down, work, and it'll go by fast. Anyway, we'll see you back Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe.